Hey guys, Chris here with Work2Game, and today I'm here to tell you how Chris met Brian. Now, as you get to see Brian and I a lot more and more, people have started to kind of wonder, how is it we met? How did Work2Game kind of come to be? So I'm just going to give you a brief history. Many channels on YouTube here focus on only one personality, whether that be Felix, or Philip, or Jack, or anybody else. Most channels just seem to have one primary host. There are a handful that focus on people like Hank and John, Vlogbrothers, one of my favorites, and even more focus on big groups such as College Humor. Brian and I have actually been friends since about 2006, if I had to guess, which is when, going to Texas Tech, I met his little brother, Brandon. Now, Brandon and I were studying architecture there. We were eventually roommates. We graduated together. We both got our first jobs at different firms here in DFW. We're both from the DFW area, so we'd always carpooled to get home for different holidays. So we did eventually meet each other's families, and we've always been very close friends. We were at each other's weddings, and that has just been a big, big friendship in my life. And Brian, this older brother, was always coming out to visit Brandon. He was always around when we came back to visit because he lived up in the Denton area where Brandon's parents were. And so we always hung out more and more, and we always had games in common. He has been a Square Enix fanboy for as long as I can remember. Square Enix happens to make great games, but even if they put out just a junk game, Brian was the one guy I could trust to at least give it a shot. He always is looking so positive and on the bright side of things, and so he's always been somebody I could share Final Fantasy with as I played through all the single-player titles. And he kind of told me about 11, and as 2.0 was getting closer, he kept telling me, man, you should really play 14. And after all, I had tried WoW, I tried EVE, I tried Guild Wars. Oh my gosh, I played a lot of WoW. And so I'd always been a big fan of the genre, and I love Final Fantasy games, so it wasn't a hard push to get me to go ahead and come on over. Now, I ended up liking it, and as it grew, we invited more and more friends to join us, and as we all played a little bit over the different nights of the week, we kind of agreed maybe there should be one primary night where we all make an effort to be there. And that is how Game Night was born. About 4 years ago, we started playing on consistent nights of the week, and that night has moved from year to year as it's made sense with people's schedules. We've even changed games before. And as I brought in friends like my brothers Adam and Todd and their friend Steven, and I brought in one of my close friends, Itai, and we just kind of grew, and we brought in Brandon, and then Brandon, and I have a friend Eric, and the group has just grown more and more. And Brian brought in his friends, Tim and Jelly, and just so many. We have gotten to the point where there have been nights with over 10 people, which feels incredibly awesome for it to be a bunch of adults just getting together after work to play games. Now, with most of the people either coming through me or Brian obviously being his wife and his college friends and things like that, and then me being my brothers and our friends, it has always made sense that when trying to pick a new game or a new night of the week, that until we really got big on Discord, everything kind of went through Brian and I for communication. So we got to talk a lot, and we always got off topic talking about games. These games left us talking about theory crafting of what games could be, what games need, if we were to be in control of making our own game, what would that look like? And also just looking at the industry as a whole. What games are on the horizon? What games do we want to play? What games would fit Game Night well that we should offer up to the group? And just what games are we most excited to see in the future, and are we sad to see come to a close as in our gaming experience? Now, 4 years later, we'd spent so much time talking about games in these conversations that he kind of said, wouldn't it be cool if we recorded these conversations and kind of made a podcast out of it? He already had past experience with podcasts, and he asked me to co-host one with him, and that is how we started our first podcast together. That podcast very quickly led us on to posting things to YouTube. I wanted to go ahead and post some videos that I made from our game night footage. He wanted to post some guides he'd always wanted to make on Final Fantasy XIV, and that is how Work2Game was born. That was August of 2016, so here we are 6 months later. It has obviously turned into a lot more than just a podcast and a few guides, and we're learning a lot more. We've learned a lot about YouTube. We've learned a lot about how to interact with you guys. We've learned a lot about editing videos and how to research for videos, and how to set up a YouTube channel and all this back-end stuff that we really don't, always get to share with you guys as we start to talk about things like getting into branded channels and possibly bringing on an editor. And we really have just grown a lot into this platform, and we are loving every minute. Most of our content has been centered on Final Fantasy XIV. It's a huge game. It makes it very easy to find more topics because every time we take a topic off the list because we made a video, we can add on 2 more that we just thought of. But we do dabble in first-person shooters. We're getting big on Nintendo right now. And honestly, the title is Work2Game. We have a life that hopefully we make time for games in, but there are things outside of that. We've talked about fitness goals, Brian's talked a little bit about his career at the moment. You know, that doesn't mean I won't one day kind of bring that to you guys. And it has been incredible to get to share all of this with you. And so that's the history of kind of how Brian and I met, how it turned into Work2Game, and how we got to here. The one part I'm leaving out is how you found us, because I honestly don't know. Yes, there's a handful of people that I personally knew and I personally, already interacted with, and they're here kind of posting comments from time to time, shooting me a text message when they have a thought. But Brian and I didn't know 3,000 people, and so you guys have really made this into what it is. You've shared feedback, you've tossed us tips and tricks we didn't know, you have really helped us grow this channel into what we all seem to come here to enjoy, and that's really where I'd like to end this video, is by saying, how did you find us, and how do you find your other communities? How do you find the YouTubers you like? How do you find the Reddit threads you like? What is it you're looking for? And how are you finding friends to have your own game night with? You may know 5 or 6 people that like games, but how do you find a group that can all center on Final Fantasy or Halo or whatever it is you're playing, and just start a game night of your own? So if you could leave all that in the comments below, we love hearing from you. And we really do want to say thank you. Brian in his post earlier this week gave a little bit of an update on the channel, and so I just wanted to share this as kind of a back end of how we got to where we are. This has been Chris with Work2Game, and thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, go ahead and click right here. If you would like to see more videos from us and you like what we do here, or you like a video in particular, that like button is always a good way to tell us. And your next video is probably waiting. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.